On today's show, I didn't think I'd say this season, but the Clippers just can't stop winning. Even without Kawhi Leonard going into Toronto and coming back from 14 down, I'm going to tell you how the Clippers were able to get one of their gutsiest wins of the season on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA, been a Clipper fan for 21 years, been covering the team on my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for 6, and 4 right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so we can get up to 9,000 subscribers. Bing, bing, bing. We finally hit our goal of 8,000 subscribers. I want to thank everyone for getting us up to this point of this journey. It's been an absolute pleasure. And of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And of course, Locked On is the #1 sports podcast network in America. Now, in this one, Clippers getting a gutsy win led by a late takeover from James Harden. Going to be talking about that. The performances from our young crop of players that are really starting to find their stride in the NBA right now. And then just what kind of has become a silver lining of this season, even though if you were to say through 41, halfway through the season, we're 18-23, we would have been like, if you had told us that before the season, we would have said that's awful. But given the context of how we started, we are in a good spot right now. So let's talk about how we were able to win this game 121-117 at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto without Kawhi Leonard, who was out with that ankle sprain. But I also think we were just being conservative. I would be surprised if Kawhi Leonard missed any other game. We still were without John Collins with that groin injury, which that sucks because he's been playing really, really well and has been a huge part of why we've turned things around and have won 12 out of our last 14 games. But we did get Ivica Zubac back from that absence against the Washington Wizards, and he definitely performed pretty well and impacted the game strongly. But we're going to talk about James Harden first, because this game through 3 quarters, you would have thought, going into this game, we were going to need a James Harden carry job to get the job done. Now, however, even though Toronto's been one of the big surprises of this season, outperforming everyone's expectations, they still didn't have 3 starters: Jakob Poeltl, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley. So we're missing 2 starters. They're missing 3 starters. Now, I mean, you could argue Derek Jones and Bradley Beal are a 3rd starter too. So regardless, both teams are shorthanded. But James Harden really struggled through the first 3 quarters of this game. Like, going into the 4th quarter, we were down by 11 points. And my biggest thing was everyone else has kind of done their part to somewhat keep us in this game. But James Harden has to get going. And James Harden did get going. And just to give a stat, with 4 minutes left in the game, nobody had even scored more than 16 points for us. Ivica Zubac was our leading scorer with 16 points. James Harden finished the game with 31. That means in the last 4 minutes of regulation plus overtime, James Harden scored, I believe it was 16 points. It was either 16 or 17. He took over this game. And that is why we ended up getting the win. Of course, we had contributions from other guys, but we needed that star push. And James just started getting downhill against dudes that had done a pretty good job on him all night. The Raptors threw some random double teams on it, at him throughout the game, but he was able to get to that left hand, get to that mid-range, and those 2 mid-ranges that he hit, he had a chance to win the game in regulation, did not hit. But in overtime, those two big step back mid ranges that he hit. And I always say, when James Harden is taking the mid range shot and embracing all parts of the floor, he becomes that much harder to guard. And those shots really propelled us to the victory, 121 to 117. James Harden finishes the game with 31 points to go along with 2 rebounds, 10 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. He did turn the ball over 4 times, but he literally had 31 and 10. 31 and 10 on 10 for 27 shooting, an abysmal 2 for 15 from 3. So he was 8 for 12 from 2. So his inside the arc game, his downhill game, his mid-range game, that stuff was all popping for him in this one. But the 3-ball's been rough for James in the month of January, and he's just kind of been in a little bit of a shooting slump from deep of late. However, I do think he's taking some unnecessary ones, but those shots he ends up making over the course of a season, so I don't know. I think, as I said in the last episode, I think he will get back to shooting like we know he can. But he was also 9 for 10 from the free throw line. So you will take that. 42 minutes played, a heroic effort from James to get the job done without Kawhi Leonard. I mean, what can you say? Really put the team on his back late in that game, getting by guys like Ochai Agbaji, getting by guys like Jamal Shed or Scotty Barnes. But yeah, for me, it was part of the reason that we weren't able to either take the lead or, stay in the game. I mean, we were down 18-4 early on, and they just kind of kept that lead for the most of it. But it was a game of runs. We came back, got back in it. We went on an 11-0 run to take the lead in the third quarter. Then we went back down 11. It was a game of runs. But James did come through in the fourth. Had some good kickouts as well. Of course, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at James without Kawhi, especially. James and Zoo, we saw some good pick and roll play from them. Early in the game, Colin Murray-Boyles, who was starting at center for the Raptors, he was switching at times on the perimeter and allowing, because Scotty Barnes guarded Harden to start, and of course, CMB, as they call him in Toronto, was guarding Zoo. But since Scotty Barnes is strong as an ox, they were switching that pick and roll, and CMB was moving his feet pretty well. So you saw kind of like a switch 1-5 scheme. But then in the second half, Sandro Mamukalishvili was in drop coverage against James. And James and Zoo love that drop coverage. And not only were they able to get some buckets, but Kris Dunn and Jordan Miller were able to get open corner threes based on the pick and roll gravity of that duo of Ivica Zubac and James Harden. So James, he did his job. He got the job done for us, took over late in the game. And in the fourth quarter, this guy, James Harden, had 8 points and 3 assists. And in the overtime session, he also had 8 points. So as I said, 16 points with a snap of a finger to win us this game. Got to give your shout outs to James Harden. He was my player of the game, even though there were some really good performances to talk about. And coming up, we're going to be talking about those performances from some of our younger players who are really hitting stride. I got to tell you a little something about DoorDash. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. Those late night interviews, and honestly for me, the late night episodes are I stay up really late. So DoorDash, for example, I DoorDashed last night. You know what I'm saying? I really use it. From tip off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club. It gives you access to an ad-free, guys, imagine listening to this show but with no ads. Because I've seen some comments that say there's too many ads. So if you want to listen to an ad-free version of Locked On Clips, compatible with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcasts, go sign up for the Everydayer Club. And also, it gives you an invite to a members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord that I'm in. I just joined the chat. So if you want to chat with me, guys, and ask me any question more frequently, join the Everydayer Club. Just go to lockedonclippers.supercast.com to do it, or tap the link in the show notes to learn more. All right, Clipper Nation. I want to apologize for how late this episode came out. I had a game on Friday, 2 of them actually, for school, and then I had an event to go to. I had practice to conduct that same night instead of being able to watch the game live. And then on Saturday, I had rec games. So it was just a mess. But my season in school is over in 2 weeks. So you will get a little over 2 weeks if we make playoffs, which we will. Then I'll be able to release episodes quicker. So I apologize for that. Just bear with me. Anyway, the younger players, what can we say about these guys right now? We did not expect Kobe Sanders, Jordan Miller, Yannick Konen-Niederhauser to get real minutes in our rotation this season and help us win basketball games, but they have done exactly that, and it's continuing to get better. In this game, with James Harden having a really, really rough first 3 quarters, and in the first half, for example, shooting 3 for 13 from the field and 1 for 8 from 3, we were still able to stay in this game because of them. Kobe Sanders, I thought, came out with the right intensity on both ends of the floor. He had active hands in the passing lanes. He had good physical on-ball defense where he poked the ball away from guys a couple of times. He hit an early transition 3. He is one of the only players on the team, and this is a league-wide issue, it's not a Clipper-exclusive issue, that spontaneously cuts. There is so much stagnation or stagnant basketball. Is that even a word? There's stagnant basketball in the NBA right now when guys are isoing, guys are pick and roll, guys are standing in the corner to space. But there are so many times where guys are loaded up so heavily, you can dive to the basket. And Kobe Sanders had several buckets doing exactly that. And he was able to stay solid throughout the game, have some nice drive and kicks. We're seeing a real NBA player here. We're seeing a guy who has contributed to this rotation this season. 20 points against the Warriors, consistent, solid performances. I thought he was really solid. I thought he was really solid throughout the game, and he iced the game at the free throw line in overtime. He started yet again. He had 13 points. And by the way, it was Nico Batum who started in place of Collins, but Nico barely played. He only played 6 minutes and had a donut, 1 rebound, 1 block, didn't turn the ball over, and was 0 for 2 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3. I think Ty just felt better with the younger players. Toronto's a young team and rolled with them. Kobe Sanders played 37 minutes. He had 13 points, 3 rebounds, 3 steals, and 1 turnover on an incredibly efficient 4 for 7 from the field, 2 for 3 from downtown, and 3 for 4 from the free throw line. Another double-figure scoring game for Kobe Sanders. He is looking fantastic. He's averaging 7 points in the month of January. He has been someone that we just didn't expect to have such a big role this season, and I'm so happy he is having that big of a role because I'm always rooting for the Clippers, the homegrown Clippers to succeed, and it makes me optimistic for the future with him. And it wasn't just Kobe Sanders. It was not just Kobe Sanders. Jordan Miller. This guy just continues to be electric. He is having the best stretch of his NBA career right now. 19 points in this one, 11 and 10 against the Wizards, 14 against the Hornets, 9 against the Pistons, 21 against the Nets. These last 5 games, Jordan Miller has been 9 points or more in every single one. He has scored 74 points in this 5-game winning streak. And he's done it by getting 2 feet in the paint. He's done it by finding guys on the drive. He's done it by finishing in transition and playing solid defense. 15 points a game through the last 5, or in the last 5. In this game, getting downhill, knocking down big corner shots. The footwork with this guy is quite impressive. You know, he had his first bucket of the game was a beautiful turnaround, and he's not even the quickest in the world, but he really knows how to use his body and play angles and finds a way to get to that left hand of his, and then uses a series of like either Euro steps or side steps or pivots to find a way to either get fouled or get his shot off. And then he's a very solid finisher through that contact. It's really great to see because we lack guys that can get downhill and get 2 feet in the paint consistently. And Jordan Miller, you know, when James Harden was really struggling, he was the main catalyst to keep us in the game and finish around the basket. He started the third quarter instead of Nico, and he played really well. Had a nice dime to Kobe Brown, had a transition 3, and had a fast break layup all in that third quarter, and was able to be a consistent force throughout the game, knocking down his open shot. And we've talked about this back in the summer league and when we first got Jordan Miller. The big thing for him is going to be knocking down the open 3 ball. And he's been doing that very well of late, and that's why he's been getting extended minutes of late. He got more minutes than anyone for the Clippers and anyone in the game for either team. 46 minutes. He was a game high plus 20 off the bench for us. 19 points, 2 rebounds, 6 assists, which was the second most on the team after James. 4 steals. 4 steals. We had 12 steals as a team. 12 steals as a team. They had 18 turnovers. We had 16. So good thing. I mean, that's great that we turned them over 18 times. As far as shooting splits, we shot 52% in the game. They shot 48. We shot 36% from 3. They shot 33. And then we shot 87% from the free throw line, and they shot 85. So between 2 to 4% better in each category. The second half, the Raptors really cooled down from 3. I mean, they're not a great three-point shooting team, and they haven't been for a couple of years. And they were hitting in the first half, but in the second half, they finally cooled down. They shot 47% from 3 in the first half, and in the second half, they shot 31. So, you know, law of averages. I kept saying to people, I kept saying to you guys, right, when we were 6-21, yes, we weren't playing very good defense, but we just can't hit a 3, and other teams are having outlier shooting nights against us. And I said, I think at some point of the season, this is gonna regress to the mean. And we've seen just that in this last 14-game stretch that we've won 12 games out of. The younger players don't stop there. So amazing game from Jordan Miller. Great game from Kobe Sanders. How about Ty Washington getting a little bit of burn? First time seeing him this season, knocked down an open wing 3, had 3 points, 1 board, 2 dimes, and a block, and didn't turn the ball over in his 10 minutes. 1 for 3 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. But the guy who came in and had one of his best games as a pro was Cam Christie. We already know he could be solid on the defensive end, but he was attacking closeouts like there was no tomorrow. And that's just a general thing that we get more of with these younger players is attacking closeouts, getting downhill, being a threat to finish at the basket over the top of guys or going into guys' bodies because they're on the younger side and more willing to throw their bodies around. Cam Christie finished through contact so well in this game, attacked closeouts so well in this game. You saw even that floater in that second quarter that got the friendly bounce. I mean, it was a really solid game from him. And I've been saying, some people have said maybe we should be buyers of the deadline now with the way we're playing. Cam Christie may be on the market. I disagree. I think the only younger player, and when I say younger, I mean a guy drafted in the 2020s or in the last 4 years that should be on the chopping block for me is Kobe Brown, not Kobe Sanders, Cam Christie. These guys, absolutely not. Cam Christie had 16 points in this game, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover on 6 for 7 shooting, 1 for 2 from downtown, and made all 3 of his free throws in 20 minutes. He was fantastic, in my opinion. And the last, and certainly not least, is our good friend Yannick. And in this game, we even flirted with Yannick Conan Niederhauser and Brooke Lopez being in the same lineup. And it didn't look too bad, but it wasn't for that long of a period. So I'll be interested to see if Tyronn Lue tries that again. And I think he will. But Yannick played a different, of course, Zoo. By the way, Zoo's coverage is blitzing on Brandon Ingram and dropping on Scotty Barnes and other guys. Same with Lopez. Yannick, I think it was the same as well, but I couldn't pay too close of attention to exactly what Yannick's pick and roll defense coverages were. But I will say this, he did get faked out a couple of times when he was guarding one-on-one. So he's still learning NBA defense, has to do a better job staying down on some of these pump fakes. But Yannick had 5 points, 2 rebounds, 1 turnover on 0 for 1 shooting, but did get to the line, 5 for 6 on the free throw line, and I just love his vertical threat. I love the times that we've seen James Harden run pick and roll with him, and he just throws it way up in the sky, looking for Yannick to go and get it. So our younger players, man, they really came up clutch for us, and they're starting to show some promise to the point where these guys are NBA players and guys you want to hold on to, and guys that have been a part of this 12 wins in 14 game stretch. And we got to start considering them part of the rotation even when Derek Jones Jr. and John Collins are back. And I think maybe Bogdan Bogdanovic is going to be should be out of the rotation. Definitely shopped with his contract. It's on an expiring deal. So anyway, coming up though, going to be talking about the silver lining of this season and then talking about other players in the game like Kris Dunn and Ivica Zubac. Silver lining of this season. And then, Kris Dunn and Ivica Zubac. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. Boosts, bonuses, and surprises. On FanDuel, we've got a lot of things you can bet on right now. As far as NBA, you can bet on who's going to go to the finals. You can bet on who's going to win MVP. NFL, we got some big games on Sunday. And then for the Super Bowl right now, the Seahawks are the favorite after their big win against the 49ers. And then from there, the Rams are second. But we'll see. By the time you listen to this episode, my Rams might have been eliminated or on to the NFC Championship to play the Seahawks. So before tip-off or kickoff, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right. The Clippers getting one of their better wins of the season after trailing by 14 points. Another comeback Clips performance. 121-117 over the Toronto Raptors. We got outscored 32-24 in the first quarter. We were down by 9 at the half. Got outscored 28-26 in the third, and then only won one quarter, 31-20 in the fourth, and then won the overtime session by 4. As far as how the game started, they had Jamal Shed on Kris Dunn. As I mentioned earlier, James Harden, or Scotty Barnes on James Harden, Colin Murray-Boyles on Zoo, Brandon Ingram on Nico, Ochai Agbaji on Kobe Sanders. We had Zubac on Colin Murray-Boyles, Kris Dunn on Jamal Shed, Nico Batum started on Barnes, Harden on Ingram, and Kobe Sanders on Ochai Agbaji. They started out up 18-4, partially because we couldn't score, and James Harden just came out ridiculous. Like, threw a lob to himself, or I think he didn't know if he wanted to shoot the floater or pass. Bricked an open three, got blocked by Brandon Ingram on his step back, missed another contested three. And the Raptors at the same time could not miss from three. And you know what happens when we go cold? Teams get out in transition and take advantage of our, lack of youth, which again, when we play our younger guys, we look better in transition as well. But yeah, they were killing us in the fast break points department. And the second quarter, we broke about even, as I said. We shot 62% in the first half outside of Harden. So as I said, these guys kept a minute, and then he was able to take over late in the game. As far as Ivica Zubac, thought he had some good moments. I think we can still look for him more throughout games, but he had a double-double in this one. 16 points, 14 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers on 7 for 10 shooting, so he shot very well. 2 for 3 from the free throw line. I think a step in the right direction for Zoo. And then Kris Dunn, he had a really rough shooting game against the Charlotte Hornets. That was the game where he was 0 for 6 from 3. How about 4 for 6 in the field and 3 for 4 from 3 in this game? Huge shots from Kris Dunn and great defense as well. Super active with his hands, going out there and chasing guys over screens. 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Did turn the ball over 5 times, though, which is excessive. He and James Harden had 9 turnovers between the two of them, which was more than half for our team. But he also had 4 steals, Kris Dunn. So his activity was on another level. 15 points. If you're getting 15 points out of Kris Dunn, it's going to be a good chance for the Clippers to win. So that's basically all the players that we had in this game. We went 10 deep with Ty Washington getting some minutes. And then Brook Lopez. Less to say about Brook. So we played 3 bigs, which I thought was an interesting wrinkle, and I actually liked it. I actually think it's something that we should continue doing because they all offer something different. Brook had a huge 3 in the second half. That was his only bucket. He had 3 points on 1 for 4 shooting and 1 for 3 from downtown to go along with 1 rebound and 1 turnover. Huge win for the Clips. We have now won 12 out of our last 14. We are 18-23 on the season, and we're firmly back in the play-in picture. We are now the 10th seed. So let's keep on going. We're only 2 games behind the Blazers, only 1 in the loss column. We can definitely catch them. But then after that, I don't know, because the Warriors are in 8th right now, and they're 5 games over 500, and we're 5 games under. So maybe the best we can do this season is 9th. But again, if we have to play a team like the Warriors or the Suns in a 1-game scenario, I'll take our chances, But anyway, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper, LA Sports, and NBA content. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, where let's get up to 9,000 subscribers now, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, the Everydayer Club, fellas. LockedOnClippers.supercast.com. If you want to talk to me directly every day, ask me a question about the team directly, I will be in there. And of course, an ad-free version of this podcast. The age-old proverb continues, go Clippers.